It's the great content shift taking place across the entire digital media industry, and it all comes to a head at the 2012 NAB show. Hello again, everyone. I am Tyler Pivoט of the Pulse Network, and right now we're having a conversation about radio and the way radio has evolved, and it's really utilized social media and the shifted technologies to its strengths. Now we're talking with Jim Roberts and Ryan Burgoyne of Commotion, and guys, you know, we've been talking about social media a lot with radio in particular, so I'm kind of anxious to get your opinions on this. Ryan, we'll start with you. Right now, at this point in time, are radio stations, are they maintaining that connection with listeners, or are they, pushing them to social sites, or are they using social sites to maintain that connection? How's it working right now?
You know, that's actually a really interesting question. We're kind of seeing it across the board. We see that some stations, basically what they want to do is they want to basically use third-party applications that are out there, kind of use, they're kind of allowing other companies or other software applications to kind of handle their listeners, be the ones that maintain that streaming and social networking interaction with them. And then we have others that are just doing just the opposite. They realize that these are their listeners. They want to own these listeners. They want to provide this experience and control that experience for those listeners. And so they're very much about controlling and owning that by basically having their own app versus, say, allowing someone to listen to their station through a third-party app.
Jim, what are your thoughts on that? Because I'm anxious to get what you're thinking.
You know, it's really tough for stations to make that decision and decide how they want to handle social media. I was at a conference not too long ago, and a station talked about how they had a contest, and the only way to register for the contest was to go to their Facebook page. And immediately, all these other programmers stood up and said, well, why would you send people to your Facebook page? Why not to your own website? You know, we're living in a day and age where we can't pretend social media doesn't exist. We have to be there because that's where everyone else is. But we need to find a good way to use that to drive our listeners back to our homepage where it's branded with our logo. And more importantly, it has our advertisers there. So it's a real struggle. You can't ignore social media, but you've got to find a really good bridge to always drive those listeners back to your product on the air and online.
Now, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but this sounds something that's almost similar across brands. I mean, I don't care if you're a shoe cobbler. You want to be able to really push them back to your website at the end of the day, right?
It really is. And, if you look at newspapers and news outlets or even news sites online, they all have Facebook accounts and they post their articles on their Facebook account, but they really only post a teaser there. And then if you click on it, it automatically takes you back to their website where it's branded with their advertisers. So yes, it affects all industries. Some industries, like the newspaper industry, has really done a good job of managing that and driving content back to their website. Maybe for radio, we haven't done such a great job yet, but we're learning. We're figuring it out.
I was going to say, Ryan, what are your thoughts on what Jim was just saying right there? Because the newspaper obviously is able to kind of put that teaser out there. It's definitely different with radio. How do you actually go about doing that? It's a tough task to tackle, really.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. Newspaper, you've got breaking news stories or whatever the case is. With radio, especially radio today, where you've got a lot of the radio stations that basically are voice tracking. So how do you continue to draw that and keep those listeners engaged throughout the day, throughout the week and the month? And I think it's really a balance. Like Jim was saying, really using social media to get the word out, but drawing them back to the property that you own, whether that's your website, whether that's your app, whether that's your mobile page, and bringing in all of your listeners to a single experience is what we see and what we feel is the key for radio.
It's the great content shift taking place across the industry right now, and it's really interesting stuff. Jim Roberts and Ryan Burgoyne, it's absolutely great talking with you guys so far, but we have a lot more coming up as we continue discussing the great content shift in the 2012 NAB show.